now, right now. Right 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 now, right now. Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We got to add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been getting bigger. Hey guys, what's going on? Jebb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your weekdaily morning show where we bring you the latest in everything Bitcoin, and in today's episode, we are going to be talking about the continued drop on the Bitcoin price that we've been witnessing over just the last couple of days. As you know, we rallied all the way up to about $31,000 last week. Ever since then, we've been pulling back. Right now, Bitcoin's trading around $27,500 and change. I've made a prediction that I believe Bitcoin is going to go significantly lower than that, down to a critical level of $25,236. That's the exact level we're talking about. I like to give you guys the juicy details right up front so I don't make you wait for it. I think that the technical analysis that we're going to do today is very, very helpful because you're going to have a better understanding of where Bitcoin is going and where you can find certain setups for trades and investments that you are looking to make in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency market. I am Crypto Jebb. Thank you so much for tuning into Coffee and Crypto Live. If this is your first time here, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button, but wait until after the stream to see if that's something that you really want to do. We're going to go ahead and read some chat, and then we're going to jump straight on into it. Like I said, guys, we go live 5 days a week here. I'm really, really looking forward to today's stream because we're going to get to dive into some charts after being away for the whole weekend. Oh, man. Very, very exciting. Let's go ahead and read some chat. We've got Mike Lowry in chat today. Forgive me, I think I may be developing a little bit of a head cold. My wife said that she was feeling a little bit like a cold was coming on, and I might be moving in the exact same direction. I'm also lacking a little bit of sleep last night. Our daughter decided, if you guys don't know, we have a daughter who turns 2 weeks old tomorrow. She decided to stay up and party for an hour and a half last night, so I was both of us are a little bit sleep deprived because we got to bed late, so might be a little bit firing on 7 out of 8 cylinders today, but we'll see what we can do. Sometimes when I'm a little bit tired, it makes me talk a little bit slower, so I'm a little bit more articulate, so that might be a good thing. Anyway, Mike Lowry is the first one in chat today, said, good morning. He is a moderator and a Jebbi Knight. Thank you so much for your support of the channel over the years at this point, Mike. I don't remember exactly how long you've been a Jebbi Knight, but it's been a long time. It's been over a year, I do believe. So thank you so very much for that. We've got Daniel J in chat. Good morning, Daniel J. Alex Nibo, Caleb Ellis, everybody saying good morning. Mark Stone, Win Peoples, another Jebbi Knight, another Jebbi, a member of the Jebbi Council. Thank you. We've got he said, good morning and God bless all. David Roy said, morning. Good morning to you too, my friend. Crypto, of course I'm teasing. Crypto Mini Bike in chat said, good morning, everyone. Mark Stone said, good morning, Jebb. How's the family? The kids, very well rested, got a ton of sleep. Mom and dad, not so much, but we are here anyway. Sean O'Brien in chat said, hey, hello, Sean O'Brien. How are you? We've got Cirque Lee. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but he said, are we going to break 27,800? Well, that is one of the many topics that we will be touching on today. So thank you very much for asking, because that will help to lead us into our discussion. I believe there's a lot that we need to cover during this stream. We got Jojo in chat. Said, good morning to all of you. Good morning, Jojo. The Classic T guy said, good morning. Good morning to you as well. Bradley Smith said, Jebb, you're always sick, bro. That's what happens when you have a toddler in preschool. That's what happens you get my point. Brave Crypto said, good morning, Jebb. Thank you so much. Felipe Bidara said, hello from Portugal. Good morning from Portugal. Dr. Fuzzy Eyeball in chat said, I like my Bitcoin the same as I like my gold, mined by other people. There you go. Keep it coming, said, good morning, Jebb and Sarah. Monday, good morning, happy Monday. Rice ETR brought up a technical analysis question, said, good morning, Jebb. Discuss the 200 WMA today. It sits around 25,850 or so. Will that be a serious level of support like always, great question. Give me 1 second because I do believe I want to show you a video that we've made on just that topic. I didn't make the video exactly on that topic, but I believe we talked about that in this video. No, I believe we talked about it in this video. U.S. government agency, Bitcoin's heading to $68,925. Check out this video if you haven't already. I think I do mention that over here, but we will talk about it today as well. If you haven't watched my Ethereum price prediction that went up over the weekend, I would encourage you to go back and watch this. People are really enjoying this video. So check this out. I think Ethereum is going to do very, very well within just the next couple of months and into the next year or so. All right, let's read chat for just a second more, and then we're going to keep going. BetaBot said, I still recall Jebb celebrated his 19th birthday. Time flies so fast. That is so true, man. That is so true. I was thinking about the other day. I've been doing YouTube now for almost 6 years on just this channel. I've been doing YouTube with other channels for many years after that. So I think I've been uploading videos to YouTube since 2012. So just crazy journey that I am so blessed to be on. Grand Roofing Incorporated said, good morning, everyone. Good morning to you as well. Austin Gregg said, what's up? Beautiful morning, bud. Good morning. Sean O'Brien said, good, thanks. Awesome. Let's go ahead and jump straight on over to our market recap. Over on CoinMarketCap, Bitcoin is currently trading at $27,600. It is more or less sideways over the last 24 hours. It is down 6% over the last 7 days, but still up 20% over the last 90. You've seen that 90-day percentage change shift quite substantially over the last about month. And the reason for that is very simply that Bitcoin is starting to kind of, in a way, if you kind of cock your head and squint your eyes, it's almost kind of starting to curve over and round out. Not really. Really what Bitcoin's doing is it's actually just going through a series of 2 major step-ups that are 2-month cycles. We're going to talk about that some more today because I think we have some more information in that direction. But Bitcoin is starting to not look like it's, up, let's see, 75% over the last 90 days. Now Bitcoin, if we look at where it was 90 days ago, is only up, I say only, but it's still quite substantially up, is only up about 19 to 20%. That's mainly because the majority of this movement is now older than 90 days. That doesn't mean that Bitcoin has necessarily lost a lot of momentum or steam. It does, however, mean that Bitcoin is starting to really lock in these levels of support. Back on to CoinMarketCap, we can see that Binance is trading at 332, Ethereum trading at 1864. Ethereum right now is a tricky one to look at because a lot of people are worried about Ethereum. I'm actually very bullish on Ethereum. It has had a more bearish 7 days than Bitcoin has, but what I will say to that is that Ethereum, while it is struggling with a more bearish 7-day outlook than Bitcoin is, has also gained against Bitcoin in a major way. And as we talked about in this video over here, if you haven't watched it already, the video that went up over the weekend, I talked about how Ethereum had already broken through its major transitionary zone the same way that Bitcoin had. Bitcoin has a transitionary zone that ends at $28,545. Bitcoin broke through that briefly and then fell right back into it. Ethereum did the same thing. Ethereum actually managed to break through the top of its transitionary zone that you can see right here, fell back below it, but that does mean that it was bullish enough for some time to break all the way through its transitionary zone, setting a new local high on the daily chart, weekly chart, monthly chart, whatever you want to say. You can see we've actually got a higher high formulating here on the daily chart. That's something to keep in mind. Ethereum might look like it is bearish right now, and it technically is because it's down 10% over the last 7 days, but I'm actually quite excited about its outlook. It is sitting at $225 billion in market capitalization. XRP is sitting at 46 cents. Cardano sitting at 40 cents. Some of these bullish predictions that we've made were contingent upon Bitcoin breaking all the way up to 32,935. We're going to talk about today why that may end up happening next month rather than this month. But one of the things to keep in mind is that Bitcoin may have to go through some bearishness to get there first, and that is not something that we should be worried about at all. If you're an investor in the cryptocurrency space, you should be very excited if Bitcoin is going through a correction. Why? Because it gives you more time to build. I know that I'm excited for this correction because there's a lot of things I'm trying to do with the channel. I'm trying to put out more content. I want to work on Club DeFi more, especially now that our daughter's here and I'm going to have more time to work on things here. I'm really excited to just put a lot of work into the channel and into our portfolios and just investments in all kinds of different things. But there's almost this feeling of, oh man, the opportunity's running away from me whenever Bitcoin is in a major rally. Because when Bitcoin is in a major rally, you think, gosh, the opportunity is just slipping away. It's just slipping through my fingers. That's a lot of what we felt during the beginning of the end of 2020, beginning of 2021, when Bitcoin was just going on this massive tear. During this time, we experienced a lot of growth on the channel, but at the same time, it was so hard to catch any of this. It was so hard to catch this movement because Bitcoin rallied 475% in 134 days. It moved so quickly that it was difficult to capitalize on it. So I actually get really excited personally whenever Bitcoin goes through a little bit of a correction like this, a little bit of consolidation. It does mean sometimes for the channel, for example, videos might get a few thousand less views, might mean we have a few less people tuning into Coffee and Crypto, whatever it may be. But the exciting thing is it gives us time to build, because ultimately you want to be in an extremely strong position to be able to take advantage of the cryptocurrency market's success when it is actually succeeding. If you are not in that position to take advantage of that success, then you are going to be missing out, and that is something that you are definitely not going to want to do. And that is why we created the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy, which helped over 5,000 students learn how to do technical analysis, and that's also why we created its successor, Club DeFi. If you guys don't know, we have a website, cryptojebb.com. Make sure to come on over here and check this out. I think you guys will really like kind of just looking around the website here. But if you scroll down to our courses, you can see Club DeFi Principles of Technical Analysis is right here. If you click on this button, it'll take you over to the Teachable page. And you can see that we have over 60 videos teaching you guys everything that you need to know about technical analysis so that you can hit the ground running, learning how to invest in your education. I tell you guys this all the time. The market is always shouting signals at you. It's always telling you, buy now, sell now, dollar cost average now, accumulate now, whatever it's telling you that is profitable. If you are able to listen and ascertain what the market is attempting to tell you, then you can make a profit from reading those signals. That's why we created Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis, because I want to help you guys learn everything that you need to know about technical analysis so that you can hit that ground running, making money in the space. And the best time to invest in your education is when the market is trading sideways or is moving down a little bit and you're waiting for an opportunity, because you're not going to be sitting there looking at the charts every 2 minutes, waiting for it to break to the upside saying, should I sell out of my position right now? What you're instead going to be doing is you're going to have time to sit back and say, I need to invest in my education. I need to learn what RSI is. I need to learn what MACD is. I need to learn what math psychology is. I need to understand what stochastics RSI are. I need to understand RSI divergence. I need to understand bull markets, bear markets, support, resistance, all of these different concepts that you need to know if you hope to be an investor or a trader in the crypto space. I'm here to tell you, people have done it before. There are so many people in the cryptocurrency space that are too scared to jump into trading and investing, but there are so many that have run before you. You're not Lewis and Clark in this. And honestly, Lewis and Clark weren't the first ones to cross the Americas. They, of course, had somebody guiding them as well. Sacagawea, you know, there were people that went before even Lewis and Clark to show them the way across the continent. In the cryptocurrency space, there's an interstate highway system across the United States, and it's through all of the people that have come before you and built out careers in trading and investing. This is something that has been done infinitely many times before, millions of times before. There's no reason you can't do it. You're not smart enough. You're not disciplined enough. You're not in the wrong state of life. It's not that you have too little money. If you want to be successful in crypto through trading and investing, you absolutely can. It's at your fingertips, and don't ever let anybody tell you that you can't. It might not fit into your lifestyle. Maybe it's not something you're interested in, but if you're interested in it and you have the time, then invest in your education, and you will be so glad you did. Investing in my education is one of the greatest investments I have ever made in my entire life, and I'm so very thankful that I invested the thousands of hours it took to learn technical analysis so I could build a course like Club DeFi where I can teach you all of that content in a couple of hours instead of you having to spend thousands of hours learning it the hard way. So check out Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis. Use coupon codes if you are in CT2A or if you're in Club DeFi's beta. You can shoot us an email, support@cryptojebb.com, and we will get those generated for you. All right, let's go ahead and jump straight on into the technical analysis, though, because I'm very excited to talk about where Bitcoin is going today. Let me just check chat and see if there's anything really big in there. Grand Roofing Incorporated in chat. I have the Beholders in chat. Antonio said, Jebb, I love you, bro. Thank you so much. Brief Crypto said, Jebb, are you going to Bitcoin 2023 this year? I am not. I really want to. I take that back. I actually want to stay home this year. I want to go to Bitcoin 2023, and I'm almost certain I'll be going to Bitcoin 2024 so long as it's hosted in Miami, because that's a 6-hour car drive from us. The tricky thing is we just had a baby, and Bitcoin 2022 is in 2 weeks, I think. It's in May 10th, something like that. George from Cryptos R Us asked me the same question because he wanted to meet up for lunch. I would love to go. The thing is, we just had a baby, so I'm probably not going to go just for the sake of kind of giving my family some time to rest. But next year, we'll have a 1-year-old. That's a lot easier to help manage than a 2-week-old who's 2 weeks tomorrow. So probably be going next year. No promises. I would like to go to more conferences, but I'm going to kind of let things settle in and just get some work done on the channel for right now. But I am looking forward to all of the reports from people that do go. And I believe George from Cryptos R Us is going. I believe the BitBoy team is going. A lot of the people that you know are probably going to be down there. I had a blast there last year. I got a signed copy of the Bitcoin Standard by Safadine Amos. It was a really great conference. They pulled that off amazing. They did a great job. So make sure that if you're interested, go to Bitcoin 2023, but I won't be going this year. All right, moving right along to the Bitcoin technical analysis. Guys, Bitcoin did try and rally up to 32,935. I want to answer a couple of questions today. First and foremost, we've talked about this before, but if you've come to the stream for the first time or if you've just forgotten and want a refresher, we're going to talk a little bit about why Bitcoin did not rally all the way to 32,935. Then we're going to talk a little bit about what the path forward looks like. Where will Bitcoin be going to? I talked about in the title that Bitcoin will probably have a correction down to that region of roughly $25,236. That's the level I believe Bitcoin's going to correct down to. We'll talk about that some more, and then I'll talk about how I believe the rest of the market is going to play out. So we've got 3 major topics. Let's go ahead and dive right on into it, as we say. Why did Bitcoin not go to 32,935? Well, I think there are a couple of reasons, and as I said, we've talked about this before on the channel, so this is a bit of a recap. I believe the main reason that we didn't go to 32,935 is because we did not have a large enough correction following the March data release, where we saw that 0.4% CPI data come out. The hard thing when you see CPI data get released is that it normally leads to a rally on Bitcoin. In fact, invariably in the last 4 months, it has led to a rally on Bitcoin. The tricky thing is, it is not a silver bullet. The market needs to be positioned in such a way that when it receives good news, it's able to actually capitalize on that. If you are, let me give an example. My motorcycle tops out at 93 miles an hour. Don't ask me how I know that. If you are already going 90 miles an hour on my motorcycle, it's a CBR 300R, it's a 286cc engine. If you're already going 90 miles an hour on that motorcycle, then you can, on a track, don't do that on public roads, then you don't have a whole lot more to go. You don't have a whole lot more speed that you can add to that bike because it's not a very powerful bike. It's a beginner bike. It's not a leader bike or anything. It's not going to go 200 miles an hour. You're not going to get a lot of torque. You're not going to get a lot of power up there when you're already doing 10,000 RPM and you're going 90 miles an hour because you're so close to the top speed. That's kind of what Bitcoin was doing. Bitcoin was already flying pretty close to the sun. It was already very near its top speed up here, just sitting up here around $27,545 to $28,545. When we saw that nitrous get injected into the engine of the metaphorical motorcycle, with that 1% CPI data drop in April, earlier on in April, what was it, April 12th, I believe. When we saw that occur, Bitcoin was already so close to its top speed that it just couldn't really go a whole lot faster. It just didn't really work that way. So Bitcoin did go through a rally, but it just didn't have the kick that it needed to get all the way up to 32,935. And that's something where I said on a previous stream, and I'll tell you again, I think I overestimated Bitcoin just a little bit because Bitcoin's got this range, you see? Bitcoin's got this ascending range based on these 3 trend lines. This uptrending level well, now it's resistance, this uptrending level of support, and this uptrending level of support. These 3 levels, in my book, basically define the current trend of Bitcoin, and you can see that Bitcoin is vastly far above all 3 of them during much of April, during much of March and early April. We've since started to fall back into them, and that kind of colors where I think some of our price targets are going to be, but Bitcoin has fallen below this uptrend, which we crossed right around that 28,545 mark. So we broke both of those at the same time. We are now falling below support around 27.5. We'll talk about that here in a little while. The problem is that Bitcoin broke straight through this upper level of resistance, started using it as support, and then bounced off of the support. That's like breaking through the ceiling of something and then jumping off the ceiling. Like, goodness gracious, I think the only person on planet Earth that could do that is my 2-year-old. And even then, he'd still have to come back down for some fruit snacks, and that's exactly what the market is doing. It's having a bit of a correction because it just went too far. It was already up here at 90 miles an hour. Top speed is 93. It couldn't go much farther without having a correction. I use the analogy of a controlled burn in a forest quite often. If you are a forest, if you are a wildlife management area employee, or if you work for a forest service, or you work especially out west, out towards the Rockies and the Pacific coast, parks, then you're going to be very familiar with the Smokey the Bear says, "Oh, only you can prevent forest fires." Well, I don't know how I'm supposed to prevent a forest fire when I'm 2,000 miles away, but okay, Smokey. They learned about 60, 70 years ago that if you do not allow fires to happen within nature, then what happens is over the course of 5, 10, 20, 30 years, you build up so much dead stuff on the forest floor that it's a tinderbox, and the second you go 2 months without rain and lightning strikes, you've got 10,000 acres on fire. You've got 100 square miles on fire. You need to let the market go through a controlled burn every once in a while, in the same way that you need to let a forest go through a controlled burn every once in a while. Why? To weed out the weak. That sounds so bad, but let me explain what I mean. In the forest fire analogy, you've got the weak little trees down at the bottom, you've got the dead trees, you've got all this stuff on the bottom of the forest floor that is choking out the much stronger trees. So you have these very strong trees that are trying to build a very strong forest and be the background of the biodiversity in the forest, but you've got all this little nonsense on the forest floor that's been sitting there and building up for the last 30 years. And if you don't get rid of all of that, then that chokes out the healthy trees. It's almost like if you're in Florida, where I live, Spanish moss. If you've ever seen Spanish moss is actually deadly to a tree. So if you get a ton of Spanish moss on an oak tree, eventually it's going to kill it. It's just this little moss, this little lichen, but it could kill this gigantic 150-year-old 100-foot tall live oak tree. That's kind of what happens in cryptocurrency, is you have these weak positions that people are in. You have this buildup of rust on the auto body. You have this buildup of debris, of waste in one's body that you need to get rid of. It's toxic, it's poison, and you've got to get rid of it. And in cryptocurrency, that looks like a lot of people that are in bad trades. That looks like a lot of people that are upside down in trades. That looks like a lot of people that are waiting on the sidelines for a better entry than they have right now, and they're not going to deploy until they find it, or until Bitcoin rallies $5,000 or $10,000. But what's more likely, dropping 1,000 or rallying 10, so they are sitting on the sidelines not doing anything. You have to go through that correction, have that controlled burn. That did not happen in March. And I will also add, that did not happen in early February and January. Bitcoin, in grand total, the largest correction it saw here in this March to April part of the CPI cycle was an 8% correction. Here in early February, we saw an 11% correction. Those counted for next to nothing. Now, in February, we only saw a 0.1% CPI data drop. We saw an order of magnitude larger CPI data drop in April, where we saw it drop 1%, literally a full perfect order of magnitude larger. But the market still didn't rally much more than it did in February. Why? Because there was not a large correction. The market was too close to its top speed. There was too much debris on the bottom, on the forest floor. There was too much rust on the auto body. There was too many bad, weak trades. There was not enough healthy correction consolidation taking place before CPI data came out to send the market into a rally. But now there is. We're moving in that direction. That's what we saw happen in February. A lot of people thought, oh no, the bull market's over. No, we're going back down to 17,000. Bitcoin's dead. People seem to think Bitcoin's dead every about 4 years, and then every year after that, Bitcoin ends up showing them that it is more alive than ever. If you think Bitcoin's dead, welcome to crypto. You must be new here. Like I said, I've been in the crypto space, what is it, April, May, June, July. In 3 months, it'll have been 6 years since I got into the space. I have watched Bitcoin die in scare quotes, so many times, I can't even count. Now, I couldn't tell you exactly where Bitcoin's going to go. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's going to go to $1 million next week or $1 million next month. I think we could see $1 million by the end of the decade, but now that's starting to look a little bit less likely. I can't tell you whether Bitcoin will be this successful, or this successful. I can give you an idea. I can make predictions based on historical trends, but past performance does not guarantee future results. You guys have heard that a million times. What I can tell you is that I do believe Bitcoin's here to stay. I do believe it'll be successful. I do believe it'll recapture and surpass all-time high. And I do believe that this is an industry that is worth fighting for, and I do believe that this is an industry that, if it holds to its guns, has a very valuable value proposition that it is trying to impart on the world. And that is decentralization. That is the idea of money not being in the hands of one individual or one group of individuals, but in the hands of the people, democratizing people's finances so that it can't be stolen from them through inflation or theft. And there is a way for Bitcoin to never be inflated in a way that's very substantial. Anyway, over 90% of Bitcoin that'll ever be mined and created has been created, and there's also deflation through it being lost. And there is a way for Bitcoin to literally never be stolen. One of the ways that Bitcoin can literally never be stolen, you can store the keys in your memory. And the reason that, and I know I'm a little bit off on a tangent here, but I want to just remind you the why of Bitcoin, because it's important not to just look at the technicals all the time. You can store the private keys to your wallet in your mind, so that the only place that Bitcoin exists in the entire world is in between the synapses in your brain. That is the first time in human history that has been possible, and that shifts the balance. That completely changes everything. The reason is because that change. If somebody is storing $100 million worth of Bitcoin in their memory bank, then that is the one place in all of creation that you can store money and it cannot be stolen. It literally cannot be stolen. No one can force you to tell you what that is. Somebody can break into a bank vault. Somebody can break into a safe. Somebody can break into Fort Knox if they have enough firepower, right? Nobody can break in here and force you to talk. So it changes the game from an argument of using force, sometimes lethal force, to steal what you want, to then using persuasion. And oftentimes, that's a much more peaceful route, using persuasion. Just think about that. That doesn't come up very often, and hopefully it doesn't, because I definitely don't condone violence. I definitely don't condone theft. I think those are horrible sins. But it does change things dramatically. It's the first time in human history that you have a cryptocurrency, a store of value that is not only uninflatable, but it's unstealable if it's utilized in a certain way. Think about that. That's groundbreaking. And that will have and has had huge implications on human civilization over the last 13, 14 years that Bitcoin's been around ever since January 3rd, 2009, when the first block was mined. So just keep in mind, Bitcoin goes through boom and bust cycles just like any other market, especially nascent markets. You look at the stock market, it went through a lot more boom and bust cycles than it does now because the Fed loves to manipulate it and just give it one gigantic, never-ending bull market. That doesn't help anybody. Hey, stock market, if you've been up for more than 4 decades, maybe you should consult your doctor. That's kind of what we're looking at right now. Oh, man, Jebb, you're a Christian. That was kind of a shady joke, wasn't it? No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, moving on here. The point is, Bitcoin has been having a lot of trouble trying to get up to 32,935. Why? Because it didn't go through a correction. It's got perfect value proposition to be a multi-$10 trillion market in the future. But when we're looking at the short term, it just did not have a large enough correction. That's why it didn't rally all the way up to 32,935. That's why it needed to have a small correction, was because it just did not have the juice that it needed to get to 32,935. And it also speaks to the fact that people are a little bit tired of this big bull market. We've been rallying for 4 months straight. People are kind of wanting to back up, rest for a month, and come back. And that happens oftentimes in cryptocurrencies. Market will be in just a giant rally, and then people will get exhausted for a little bit, and then they'll come back 3 months later. I don't think that this is the beginning of the end for this this new resurgent bull market that Bitcoin is attempting to form, that I think is almost all but confirmed. I don't think it's necessarily confirmed, but it's very close. But I do think it could be the beginning of a small correction that will take us down to 25,236. And so that leads me to my second question. Where is Bitcoin going next? Because we talked about why did it not go to 32,935? It didn't have a large enough correction. Full stop. It just didn't. The reason we rallied $9,000 after the March CPI data drop was because we had a $5,000 correction before. If Bitcoin had not have dropped at all and just traded sideways, it would have only rallied $3,400. Well, guess what? How far did Bitcoin rally? $3,000. Do you see my point? If Bitcoin had to just sat up here and traded sideways and didn't go through this correction, then we would be seeing roughly the same level of rally. Now, it's getting a little bit harder for Bitcoin to rally farther because, of course, I mean, we're higher. It takes more money to move Bitcoin from $30,000 to $35,000 than it does take for it to move from $25,000 to $30,000, even though it's only a $5,000 difference. Because as the percentage move goes down, the amount, but it stays the same linearly, then the amount of money that you have to add into market capitalization goes up exponentially, according to the inverse square law. So with Bitcoin moving to the upside, of course, it gets harder for it to move to the upside the further to the upside it gets. Duh. I think that's something that you would probably understand. But that's where Bitcoin is. It wasn't able to rally to 32,935 because it just didn't have a springboard. If Bitcoin had have dropped down to 25,236, like I think it's about to, and started its rally from there, then Bitcoin would have rallied $6,000 to where it did rally, would have rallied $7,700 to 32,935, which is about the kind of rally that a lot of people were expecting. Instead, because we didn't have a major correction, we saw a rally more akin to what we saw in February, where we saw about a $3,000 rally. A lot of people kind of yawned. They said, "Oh no, Bitcoin's dead." You know, this is where the reporters come out for the 487,000th time and said that the market is dead. It's not. It's going through a correction. So again, that leads us to our second question. Where is Bitcoin going next? Because a lot of people, even in chat, I forgot who, let me see if I can find them, are talking about that 200 weekly simple moving average. You talk too fast. I am from Norway. I'm sorry. I am sorry. Let's see. Good morning, crypto trucker Mike. I have the beholder. Let's see. Who talked about the 200 weekly moving average? I want to give him a shout out. Rice ETR talked about the 200 weekly simple moving average. As far as where Bitcoin's going to go for support, let me just show you. Bitcoin is highly likely to come back down to one of those levels. And the reason is very simple. Whenever you break above a major level, and let me just kind of frame this. We're looking at the longer term technical analysis now to kind of get an understanding of where Bitcoin is going to go in the short term to find a bottom. I think Bitcoin's going to find a bottom next month. Big rally. Might have some trouble in 9 days. We'll talk about that in a minute. Because the CME Fed, the effective federal funds rate update is going to be coming out in 9 days. However, we want to look at the longer term perspective to see where the major support might be. Now, if you want more details on this chart right here, I highly encourage you to go back and watch this video on the channel right here. A clock will send Bitcoin to $50,000, Bitcoin price prediction. I think you guys will get quite a lot of value out of that. But one of the things we talk about in that video, and that we also talk about in a video that went up about a week ago, U.S. government agency Bitcoin's headed to 68,925. We talk about these two moving averages here, the 50 and the 200 weekly moving averages. These represent roughly 1 year and 4 years of price action. The reason they're so important is because these represent also the moving averages that you consider things called golden and death crosses on. We had a golden cross on the daily chart for Bitcoin back here right around Valentine's Day. On the weekly chart, we just witnessed a golden cross as well, the first one in the history of the cryptocurrency market, because these moving averages have never touched before this recent season in Bitcoin's history. However, the good news is, and the point for today's video, is that both of them are sitting right here at the 25,236 level. Many times when you fall below a level of support like this, you're probably going to end up coming back and backtesting it. We fell below the 200 weekly moving average here on, let me just make sure I have this set to 200. It looks like the 200. Yes, I do have it says the 200. When we fell below the 200 moving average here in 2019, early 2019, late 2018, we did end up coming back and backtesting it during the pandemic. And then we went into a bounce and a rally. We backtested the 50 and the 200. Right now, we've broken through the 50 and the 200, and we might very well just come back down and backtest them immediately. I do think that you're going to come back down to 25,236 for a multitude of other reasons, but that is one of the reasons to look at. Now, on the daily chart, that 50 daily simple moving average is also coming into play. Right now, Bitcoin is attempting to hold the 50 daily simple moving average. I personally do not believe that it will manage to hold. I have plenty of reasons for that. One of the first reasons is that we have an uptrending level of resistance on the price action graphs. I'll go to a cleaner chart here. Let's find one. Here we go. We have an uptrending level of resistance here on the price action graphs. We also have a downtrending level of resistance here on RSI. That forms something called bearish RSI divergence. We also have an uptrending level of resistance on the price action graphs and a downtrending trend line of resistance on the MACD. That forms something that you probably haven't heard before, but I like to call bearish MACD divergence. I think you can read MACD and RSI divergence very similarly. Historically, if you see one, you normally see the other. By the way, we saw the exact same thing happen over here in January and February. We saw bearish MACD divergences, bearish RSI divergences. We also saw that the market went through a tiny correction and therefore a tiny rally on the second of 2 CPI cycles. If this trend repeats, and again, past performance is not a guarantee of future results, but if this trend repeats, we will probably see a large correction down, I would again say, to $25,236, bounce from there, moving into next month when the CPI data comes out, which let's just really quickly go to BLS.gov/CPI. Like I said, I need to bookmark this. I'm still learning how to use this Mac. Next time we see the data release, May 10th. There we go. We got the date. The next time we see the data release on May 10th, which is right here, we'll probably be sitting right here around that 25,236 mark. Boom. That means that we've undergone a correction of $5,500. This correction over here was about $5,500 as well. That sets us up, if we have even so much as a 0.1% drop on CPI, for a massive, massive rally that will probably send us to 32,935. Now, we did not have the context to see these cycles before this correction that happened a week ago. It was not very obvious. Now, we probably could have guessed, but it wasn't totally obvious that we were seeing these 2 CPI cycle cycles that we see here. We see 2 CPI data releases form one larger cycle. We didn't really have enough data for that, but now that we have 2 data points, the first larger order CPI cycle and the second larger order CPI cycle, then we can predict that a third might take place, and it would make sense for a lot of other technical reasons as well, and we may see the third major rally of the year coming in about a month. Now, the tricky thing for that is that CME Group CME Group is reporting here that in 9 days and 3 hours, we are going to be seeing the effective federal funds rate hike by another 25 basis points. That's almost guaranteed. That is pretty much priced in. That, well, not priced in, but that is pretty much guaranteed. Not many people are debating about that. That's going to happen on May the 3rd. When that occurs, that will send Bitcoin down to 25,236 if it has not already dropped down there. And it is also possible that Bitcoin falls ever so slightly below 25,236 down to $23,000 to $24,000, which is where it would fall down to the 200 daily simple moving average. You can see we actually fell down to it and broke below it ever so briefly right before our March CPI data release came out. This is a theory, by the way, that I'll be exploring again in future content, so make sure you stick around for videos coming in the next couple of weeks. I'll be talking about this theory in one coming up not too long from now. But if Bitcoin does come down, backtest these levels around $24,500 as a result of it breaking below the 50 simple moving average on the daily chart, as a result of the CME, the effective federal funds rate coming out at 25 basis points, causing a drop on the market, and as a result of that bearishness coming in from Bitcoin not having a major rally last month, then we will likely see Bitcoin rally quite substantially in May. So we're kind of jumping ahead. So I'm talking a little bit about where Bitcoin's going, but let's just shore up where we're going in the shorter term timeframes. Bitcoin, in my understanding, is highly likely at this point to do a couple of things. Number one, I think it is highly likely that Bitcoin will break below the 50 daily simple moving average, of course, on the daily chart. You can see that moving average is right here, sitting at $27,265. Part of the reason I believe that is because if we go over here to our kind of main chart, which is very, very messy, I need to clean up these charts. If we go over here to our main chart, Bitcoin has already fallen below that level of support that we talked about last week. Just go ahead and get rid of these predictions now. Bitcoin has already fallen below these that level of support that I detailed last week towards the end of the week, where Bitcoin could have held at 27,750. If you remember, Friday around 10 a.m., we were live right here. And I was saying, look, the first level of support that Bitcoin would want to hold would be 27,750, because that is a level that Bitcoin has used as support over and over and over again, and it was basically the midline for all of this trading. Bitcoin immediately fell straight through the floor being 27,750, and started using it as resistance. That is a classic bearish signal, because we turned what was supposed to be strong support into resistance almost immediately with almost no fight. We predicted that would happen, but I just want you to remember that that is something that is very potent to the market. Again, guys, the whole point of what we're doing here on Coffee and Crypto and on the Crypto Jebb YouTube channel is I'm trying to peel back the face of the market and help you guys to understand what's really going on under the hood. Because it can be scary one day from the next thing. Oh man, Bitcoin's going up. Now Bitcoin's going down. Why? Now Bitcoin's going up. Now Bitcoin's going down. I don't know what to do with this. That's my job. That's where I come in. I want to teach you guys and help you guys to understand what's going on in the market so that you can be successful in the market. That's why I bring you this free content here on YouTube. That's also why we created Club DeFi, so that you guys can learn how to do that for yourself as well, because I don't get a chance to analyze every single altcoin on this channel, but with an understanding of technical analysis, you guys can. So Bitcoin fell below 27,750, also fell below didn't fall below, but is testing that 50 daily simple moving average of support. It will probably at this point fall back down to 25,236. I'll just go ahead and put 25,236 because my chart's in a little bit the wrong place. It will more than likely fall back down to 25,236 at this rate, or down to the 200 simple moving average on the daily chart, which is sitting at 27,876. So that's my prediction for the next 2 weeks. I think Bitcoin will fall back down into, and I'll just go ahead and put this as like a green zone, either within about $500 north of 25,236, or it will drop potentially as low as $24,000. This is the zone that I do believe Bitcoin will fall into, and I believe it will do something. It will do that movement right in here. I'm not going to tell you exactly how it gets down here, but eventually it's going to require it breaking below the 50 daily simple moving average. I think we will come down here for all of the reasons that I've talked about, including that the cycle, and also including the bearish MACD and RSI divergences, including the fact that we had a less than stellar rally, including the fact that we ended this rally with a spinning top, indicating quite a lot of bearishness, including the fact that on the weekly chart we now have a bearish engulfing candlestick. I didn't mention that, but that is very substantial as well, including plenty of other technical analysis that I haven't had a chance to get into today. So that's my prediction. Bitcoin will fall over the next 2 weeks to between $24,000 to $25,500, almost $26,000 in change. From there, where does Bitcoin go next? That's what we'll talk about now. Again, I will be talking about all of this in an upcoming video, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And I'll also be covering some things in that video that I'm not covering here, because I want to leave you guys with something to watch in the video. However, let's go ahead and look at where Bitcoin might be going after that. So, as I said, the CME, keep saying CME, the Federal Open Market Committee is going to be releasing an announcement on the 3rd of May, around, when do they do it? Around 1 p.m., that they are going to be hiking rates by another 25 basis points. This, of course, has a huge impact on the broader market, because this means that mortgage rates goes up. This means that credit card interest rate goes up, auto interest rate goes up, and most importantly, how shall I say, investment capital goes up. If a company is trying to raise money or take out a loan to expand their enterprise, they have to pay interest on that loan. And we lived in this era for 10 years where there was 0% interest rates almost. There was a few blips there as the Fed tried to raise rates and whatnot to combat inflation from the 2008 financial crisis and restabilize the market. But effectively, we've lived under this 0% interest rate market for the last 10 years, and businesses have gotten used to that. Now they're having to deal with a 5% base rate, with all of the interest rates that they're getting commercially being, of course, a few percentage above that, because the lender has to make some kind of money, right? That is leading to a capital crunch, and is making it much harder for businesses to expand, because they've gotten so used to expanding not based on positive cash flows, but based on taking on debt and then selling stocks to pay off that debt, and then passing on the debt to the shareholder, saying, "Here, it's your problem. We've made you a bunch of money. Now you pay for this." That is a fundamental shift in business theorem that is still taking place. And that alone is going to lead to quite a lot of inflation. But it also leads to quite a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the market, and also leads to drops in the stock market. The reason that that's significant is because when you see the effective federal funds rate hike, you normally see the stock market drop. Notice how there's a drop about every 45 or 90 days. That's because right around those times is when the Fed comes out with an announcement. Come over here to the Fed Watch tool. I don't remember. I believe there's a way to look into their historical dates. I'd have to show you some of the dates here. Historical, there we go. You can see the announcements are coming out. Let's see. March 22nd, February 1st, December 14th. Let's just plot those dates on the stock market real quick. December 14th, February 1st. December 14th was right here. What happened to the market? We saw the Fed hike rates by, if I remember correctly, that was a 50 basis point rate hike. I don't actually recall, but I believe it was a 50 basis point rate hike. We saw a pretty large drop on the stock market. February 1st came around. Where did Bitcoin go? Where did the stock market go? It ended its rally right away. The next Fed rate announcement. 22nd of March. Let's look at what happened. 22nd of March. You can see right here. Market was already pretty much at a low. Drop for a few days. It was only a 25 basis point rate hike there, and we'd already gone through a correction, so that kind of makes sense. The next time we see a major drop on the announcement, which will be May the 3rd, we're probably going to see a pretty large drop on the stock market, and that's kind of bad timing too, because the stock market is trying to break through, the SPY is trying to break through this downtrending level of resistance. It's probably going to collapse because of that announcement back down to this uptrend, and that's going to lead to, a couple $1 trillion worth of valuation in the United States economy disappearing as a result of that announcement. Well, remember, Bitcoin is highly correlated to the stock market, to the SPY. Whenever the stock market is doing well, Bitcoin is doing well. Whenever it's not, it's not. Simply put, Bitcoin is exceptionally correlated to the stock market. And with the stock market struggling post May 3rd announcement, Bitcoin likely will too. All of those things are likely going to lead Bitcoin down to that 25,236 level. But the cool thing about the Fed announcements is if you look at the same chart we were just looking at, the SPY. Where's my chart? Here it is. You look at the SPY. You give it a week, market's forgotten, and it's rallying again. In a lot of cases anyway. Right here, it's rallying again. Right here, it was already at a major top, so it needed a correction, yes. But we will probably see the stock market have a correction and either just run straight down here or bottom out by about mid-May. Well, CPI data comes out May the 10th. Stock market will probably be bottoming down here around 382 to 380 points around mid-May, probably about 2 weeks after that data announces. So that means on our next CPI cycle, Bitcoin is probably going to start the rally with the CPI, then get kicked into overdrive because the SPY is going to come into play, and that very well could give us the juice that we need to get Bitcoin back to 32,935. So those were our three questions answered. Why did Bitcoin not rally all the way to 32,935? Where's Bitcoin going? And where is it going to bottom out? And then where will it go after that? I think it will bottom out between 24 and 20, $25,500 to $26,000, somewhere in that region. From there, I think that for a number of factors, we will end up bouncing and rallying if, and this is where the if statement comes in, if we see a CPI data drop where CPI dropped by over 0.1 to 0.2%. People get on to me sometimes about this. They say, oh, you can say anything with an if statement. No, you can, but not everything will be valuable with just because you put an if statement there. If I say, well, if the sun disappears tomorrow, then we won't have sunlight. Like, that's not very helpful, is it? But when I say, if this occurs, which is likely to occur, then this will occur. That's where you find value. Because when I say, if CPI data comes out at 0.1 to 0.2%, that's where I am passing along to you relevant information. I'm not just saying this is going to happen, full stop, guaranteed, because that would be irresponsible of me. Now, I can say historically a certain trend has happened every single time. It has never had a failure, like the Lux Algo buy signal on the weekly chart we talked about a few weeks ago. But to say that I can guarantee anything is irresponsible and negligent, to be totally honest. What I can say is that based on all of the analysis that I have seen, the one thing that is contingent upon is if that CPI data comes back at 0.1 to 0.2% of a drop to the downside. So dropping down from 5% to 4.8 or 4.9% at least, if not a little bit larger. And for reasons I'll go into in future content, I do think that'll happen. Then I think that Bitcoin is very likely to go to 32,935 or at least try and retest that $31,000 level. Maybe that's the zone we should say would be our price target. 31 to 32,935, moving in to the second half of May, which is about a month from now. Perfect timing for Bitcoin 2023. Cool. All right, so that's my historical analysis of why Bitcoin didn't hit 32,935 this time, why I don't think it's a bad thing, but it actually gives us some information about a cycle that helps predict the near-term future. And I also told you where I think Bitcoin is going. If you are enjoying today's technical analysis, there's something I want you to do for yourself. I want you guys to invest in your own education because cryptocurrency technical analysis is the gate and key to success in the cryptocurrency market. And if you're not familiar, we created something called Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis, where I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know about technical analysis so that you can hit the ground running, being profitable in the cryptocurrency space. I firmly believe to be successful in crypto, you have got to invest in your education. If you want to make $400,000 a year as a heart surgeon, you've got to go to school and learn how to do that. If you want to be a mechanic, you've got to go to school or a trade school or YouTube or whatever and learn how to do that. If you want to be a YouTuber, you've got to go somewhere, probably YouTube, and learn how to do that. If you want to be a technical analyst for the purpose of becoming a profitable trader and investor, then you must understand technical analysis. I know many people don't wake up every night and say, I want to do technical analysis. I want to look at charts. Now, I do that because I think charts are awesome. But if you don't do that, that's okay. What I will tell you is that if you want to be successful in trading and investing, that's the way you do it. You might want to be a physicist, but you don't like math. Or maybe you do like math, but it's just not your favorite thing in the world. To become a physicist or an astrophysicist or a nuclear physicist or any kind of scientist, you have got to learn math, right? Math is a lot of fun to those people that are in that space. Some people are like, it's okay. It's just a tool I use. If you want to be successful in trading and investing, like, dislike, or you're just okay with technical analysis, it is so very important because it is the language. Mathematics is the language of science. Spoken and written language is the language of civilization. And technical analysis is the language of trading and investing. Reason? To understand what a market is doing, you have to be able to listen to that market. Every single thing that happens in the entire world impacts a market, or it doesn't. But if you're trying to figure out what a market's going to do, then essentially what you are looking for is a causal relationship. You're looking for a cause and effect relationship. Something happened to this market and it's going to have an effect that leads the market in a certain direction. You're trying to figure out what the causes are so that you can figure out what the effect is. The cause, Bitcoin broke a level of support. The cause, FTX collapsed. The cause, CPI data came out, whatever it might be. The effect, Bitcoin goes here. If you're a trader and investor, you're trying to catch the goes here part of that statement. You're trying to catch the movement to the upside, the movement to the downside. To understand the effect, you have to understand the cause. That's why it's called causality in our world. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. If I take a pencil and I drop it on my fancy MacBook and probably break it, if I do that, the cause is I released in gravity. The effect is it falls. In cryptocurrency, the cause might be FTX collapse. The cause might be CPI data came out. The cause might be whatever. If you understand the causes, there is a causality there. It will impact the market in some way, maybe no way, but if it does impact the market in some way, then there's an effect. What's the effect going to be? That is a movement of the market that you can profit from. But to understand the workings of that, in science, if you're trying to understand why this pencil falls, you have to understand mathematics and general relativity. In trading and investing, to understand why X caused Y, you have to read that through the lens of technical analysis. The market is shouting signals at you 24/7. It's always telling you, buy now, sell now, whatever it may be. It is now for us to understand what those signals are so that we can predict what the future will hold. Now, there's always a certain degree of uncertainty. We can predict what phase the moon will be on April 24th of 4042, right? Because it's a very static system. It's very predictable where the moon's going to be. You can't really do that with technical analysis because there's a sociological factor. So there's a scientific sociological factor because you have to understand the mass psychology, and that's something that a lot of people don't understand about technical analysis. You have to understand the way people think to understand the way the market moves. That's one of the things we talk about in psychology, in the psychology videos. We talk about mass psychology. We talk about the psychology of candlesticks. We talk about the way people think. It's very important because if you understand the way people think and you understand that people's thoughts manifest themselves in trades and investments, which then move the market, which then have an effect on where the market goes, which you can therefore trade. If you understand that, then understanding people, understanding the sentiment, which is another video, market sentiment, and understanding the technical analysis will give you a view into where the market is going that you would not otherwise have. You're not going to make every prediction perfectly. We have, and I don't say this to pat myself on the back because I have been very blessed in a lot of ways, and so many people have helped me along this. But almost every single prediction we've made about where the market is going in the last 4 months has been true. The thing we've been off on from time to time is how far. We predicted Bitcoin break above 28,545 the day that it did. We predicted to go to 32,935. It went to 31,2. Didn't quite get there. There's, of course, some honing we can do, and no prediction is going to be perfect. But because of technical analysis, we were able to predict that. We were able to predict the drops that happened in February. We were able to predict the rallies that happened in March. We were able to predict those things. You can go back and watch the streams if you don't believe me. The reason we were able to do that was because of an understanding of technical analysis. And again, I do not say that to pat myself on the back because I've definitely made bad calls, and I am more than happy to admit that and say this is what I learned because I want to grow, and I'm not ashamed of failure because I've learned the best lessons in my life through failure. But for you to be successful, for me to be successful in crypto trading and investing, you've got to do it through an understanding of technical analysis. That's where what I believe is the best technical analysis course in all of crypto comes in, and that is Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis. This is built on the lessons that the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy taught me, where we taught over 5,000 students how to do technical analysis, and we are still hearing success stories to this day from people that went through CT2A. This is the successor, and I believe is an even better product that'll teach you how to do technical analysis, so make sure you sign up with the link in the description box down below. Again, if you're a former member of CT2A, you have a 25% off coupon code waiting for you. Shoot us an email, support@cryptojebb.com. If you're a Club DeFi member during its subscriptionary beta, we will give you a coupon code based on however much money you put into the beta. Just email us with proof of purchase for all those subscriptions. A lot of you guys were paying between $15 and $30 a month. So if you paid $30 a month for 5 months, you get a $150 off coupon code. Just shoot us an email and we will generate that for you. All right, let's go ahead and read some chat here while we have a few more minutes. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Really appreciate all of you guys. Really, really, really appreciate all of you guys. Let's see. Everything in the firmament, not outer space, is predictable. Yes. Yes, that's the thing. I actually had a very interesting when I was in high school, I proved that free will is impossible without some higher order of consciousness. So think about this: if you have a supercomputer, so this might be hard to understand. This is definitely off topic, but you guys know I talk about things that are off topic every once in a while. I realized, because I wanted to go into astrophysics, so I would think about these things quite a bit. If you take a sliver of the universe, you cut out the time, and you just take a screenshot, a still frame of the universe, and you know the exact state of every single nuclei, of every single atomic particle, of every single photon, electron, quark, etc. in the entire universe, of every galaxy, every planet, every human, everything. You take a screenshot. If you have an infinitely powerful computer, due to causality, you can predict exactly perfectly what will happen in the future, and perfectly what the entire history of the universe looks like, because you have a sliver of time with all of the causes, all of the effects that are going on in the full universe. You can use that to predict everything in the future and tell everything that happened in the past if you had an infinitely powerful computer. Where does that leave free will? I mean, wouldn't you say that we have the ability to make conscious choice? Wouldn't you say that we have the ability to make conscious decisions, to make choices that are not just dictated by our past, that are not purely causal? Just because X, Y, and Z have happened to us, 100 billion inputs have happened to us in our lifetime, that does not mean that we have to make a certain output. Think about that. Living organisms, especially human beings, are the only thing in the entire universe that do not follow cause and effect perfectly. They do not follow causality. Why? I would say, and this is, this is just something I want to mention in passing. I would say that's because there's a whole lot more to the universe than the physical realm. And I realized that about 4 years before I became a Christian. But I realize now that that was one of the things that helped me to understand, wait a minute. If I am nothing but physical matter, then there is absolutely no possible way that I have free will, because I therefore fit into that cosmic causality where whatever happened to me guarantees what I will do in the future. And I can tell you from experience, and I'm sure you can too, that free will is not an illusion. How could it possibly be? Free will therefore must be an effect of something spiritual. Interesting. Something I just thought I would share. Let's see. The debt market is the driver of the stock market. Yes, in a lot of ways it is. Dixie isn't dropping much, and if they raise rates, we could see it go up and form a double bottom pattern on the weekly from here. Yeah, and that would be kind of difficult for Bitcoin, absolutely. Let's see. Congratulations on your new baby. May she have the faithful heart of Ruth and the courage of Deborah. Thank you so much. Jebb is in the zone this morning. Thank you. I don't feel like I'm in the zone. I feel a little bit off just because I'm sleepy, but I think I'll be okay. ETH Maxi 27 says, love the TA, makes it easy to understand. Thank you. If you're an ETH Maxi, I do have a Ethereum video that just went up a couple days ago. Go check the channel for that. Guys, don't be afraid to jump into Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis, because by the way, if you jump into Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis and decide, this isn't for me, we do have a refund policy. just so you know, you can refund the course. It's a 7-day refund policy, and you can get access to that if you viewed less than 25% of course materials. We have that there because there are people that join Club DeFi or CT2A and they realize this isn't really for me. That's okay. If you fall into that category, you haven't watched more than a quarter of course materials, it's been less than 7 days, then you can get access to that refund. It's never been used before, but if you want to be the first, go right ahead. It took about 2 years for the refund to be used for the first time on CT2A, and we had already sold, I think, 2,500 copies of the course. Yep. All right, guys. Well, it is 11 o'clock, so I am going to have to go ahead and wrap it out. I really do appreciate all of you guys tuning in. As always, if you did enjoy today's video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Make sure to sign up for Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis. We really, really appreciate you guys supporting the channel, supporting us through your joining of Club DeFi, and thank you guys for sharing all of your stories about how you are learning and succeeding in Club DeFi's Principles of Technical Analysis. I am going to have to go ahead and wrap it out. Before I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.